Prepare.
And then John, in your case, just
Oh,
monitor it on
wait. And I'm
LinkedIn.
sorry. It said connect your encoder, but when Mike just went live, now it came forward. Okay.
Excellent. Okay, cool. All right, so you guys should be all set. Stream is loading. I'm gonna
So,
go hide
Mike,
behind
when
the
I look at
scenes.
the other screen, it's because I am that other screen has all the places it's being posted. I could see other comments there that won't if they're not on Zoom.
I don't know, John. We might be live. What do you think?
No, it says you're in a practice session. It still says it. I'll hit start webinar when it's ready to start webinar.
Yeah, you guys are behind the scenes on Zoom. May not be behind the scenes on LinkedIn, but nobody's joined yet. So
Oh, do I have to hit the broadcast button?
you will, yes. And then you'll have to also hit start webinar at some point. And once you do both of those, you guys will be good to go. I'm gonna hop off.
Yep.
John, ping me on Teams if you have any issues.
Enjoy your interview.
See you guys soon. Enjoy.
Right. You ready, John?
Do you want to come on a minute early? Sure.
I'll give it 30 seconds just to.
Split the difference.
Yeah.
And by the way,
I had my first coffee. I think it was yesterday.
no, you have the ERIN mug you had earlier. Where is it?
Yeah, that's upstairs. I've already had 3 cups of coffee this morning, so like,
Yes.
yeah,
And what's your point?
yeah. I was thinking about Mountain Dew now. So, all
Oh
right,
my gosh.
I'm gonna hit broadcast
Yep.
to get this started. Started. And I think that might be it. What do you think? Do I have to
I
hit?
think so. We are live.
Look at that. We got attendees rolling in. We have John Baldino and Mike Stafiej. That's me. Hanging out. John, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody first? Because you're the first one on the screen.
Oh, okay. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm John Baldino. I am the founder and president of Humareso, which is a global HR consulting firm. And I've had the privilege of being in the HR space for 35 years. And so it's been a good time.
When you say it like that, it makes us focus on the number a lot more.
Yes, well, I mean, there are people probably on the call right now who aren't yet 35.
It's very, very likely to be true.
Yes, yeah.
But thank you, John. My name is Mike Stafiej. I'm the founder and CEO of ERIN, which is an employee referral platform. We've been around for almost 8 years now. So I've been alive for a little more than 35 years. So that's
Which
good.
is excellent.
That's great
Yes,
news.
thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Before we get into our awesome topic today on how we can be more strategic with referrals, a few things we need to comment on. First off, my old-timey Western photo and your 1970s office badge photo look pretty good. They do look
Yeah,
pretty good.
I don't hate that picture.
Yeah.
I've had worse ones taken for sure.
I think the first one they used, they said I look too scary in it. I
There's
thought it was
that.
a great photo, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um,
before you get in the second thing, let me just mention one housekeeping thing. Obviously, currently, there are folks who are here joining us, and we're so glad that you're here with us today. But you may be coming in from a variety of different platforms. So some of you are connected through our Zoom webinar. Some of you might be on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, all kinds of places. We will do our best to call comments, questions from all of those platforms. We have some support behind the scenes to make sure that as questions come up or comments, that we can try to address those as part of our time on this webinar today. So please, feel free to utilize the chat features in any of whichever platform I should say that you're using.
Thank you, John. Without you, this would just be me rambling about a bunch of stuff. So, uh,
Yes, no.
keeping us in line.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Before we jump in, some current events that I think actually tie in nicely to some of the things we're talking about today, although they may not be pleasant. A lot of layoffs this week.
Hmm.
So I just was looking at the screenshot, and since it was a screenshot, I couldn't total up all the numbers. So I dumped it into ChatGPT to total it up for me because I'm not going to type that out.
Right.
Which is probably reflective of why we have so many layoffs right now. But 171,000 layoffs in the last week. Top of the board, UPS 48,000. About 15,000 of that was corporate employees. Amazon 30,000, with I think it was 10% was corporate employees.
Mm.
Um, Intel at 24,000, Nestle at 16, Accenture at 11. Pretty wild. So John, I looked up how many working Americans there are. What do you think that number is?
Working Americans, like working age or actually working?
Employed people.
Uh, I don't know. 2 million? Three, two and a
Yeah,
half,
employed.
three?
Like, I mean, like there's 300 some million people in the US. It's got to be. So
I mean, I feel like nobody works anymore. Everybody's
well,
a
not anymore,
contractor.
not
Well, but
anymore.
there's so many contractors as well. I don't know how they know it, but I don't know.
Well, what I got from the Bureau of Labor Statistics for August 25 is 163.3 million working people.
I was close, dude. What do you give me
Yeah.
a hard time for? I was
Did you say
super
2 to 3 million?
sure.
Um, but like think about that. So the number I just shared, that's 1%, right? I'm not trying to impress everybody with this.
No, no, yeah.
1% of the workforce gone in the last week. So I know that sucks, right? And we feel for those people, but it ties into we're coming into I don't even want to say a weird couple of years. It's just different, right?
Yes.
And things are changing. We can't go back as we get into these like just I mean honestly technology and efficiencies. Everything's going to get crunched, and the one thing we know is true is that recruiting is usually the first one to get crunched the most at times like that, and then also the one that they expect the most out of throughout all of it. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is how we can be a little bit more strategic. Obviously, my expertise here is on the referral side. I'm going to share a lot of war stories on that. But John, you as you have shared, you have seen it
Yeah.
in many different settings and not necessarily on the tech side. So you're going to
Well,
have
and I would say to those unfortunate numbers, right, that you just shared, some of it is also while globally or in the US, it might be 1%, like you were saying. I think we have to be thoughtful of the organizations where it's a significant percentage. So, for instance, I think probably on that list, because I just read the article earlier this morning regarding Paramount, I think laying off a couple of thousand of individuals um, that's a significant percentage of their organization, right? We're not
yeah,
talking about 1%, right? That's a much higher percentage
yeah,
there. And so some of it too for consideration is what is it going to do with to whom remains, right? So we have got people in the organization who were not caught up in a particular reduction in force, but now are involved with shifting priorities or redesign for an organization, things like that. Um, that's that can be kind of difficult as well. So you're managing both the skill sets that are needed in order to do the work that needs to get done, and then just capacity and
yeah.
morale around getting that done.
Yeah, and it's a good point too. Like Amazon's still hiring, right? So they do a
Yeah,
10% layoff. 10% of Amazon is a lot for the country's second largest employer. And then you still have a talent acquisition team that has to go out there and recruit. So that while that may not be the main topic for today,
yeah.
I think it just highlights how difficult of a position it puts them in. But to your point, uh, it's not going to feel great.
No, and it can make people nervous, right? So and an Amazon, to your point, maybe I'm still going to be willing to take a job, to take a call from a talent acquisition professional about a role at Amazon. I might not be for a smaller organization that has just gone through a reduction in force because I might
Yep.
do my homework and feel like that's going to now make me nervous, and so it makes the job of those talent acquisition professionals a bit more difficult.
Yep. 100%. So on that note, let's get into some referral stuff.
Yeah,
Pick up let's pick up the mood a bit, John. So my goal is to get you to laugh at least a few times on this call. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but I got a few things,
it'll happen.
a
I
few
have faith
gems
in
for
you.
you.
I have faith in you.
Obviously, we're big advocates of referrals, but they do come with an ROI, and they're measurable. One of the employee referrals is not a new topic, right? People have been doing this for decades. And a lot of times when we get in conversations with people, we're just talking about, well, what have you been doing? And have you even thought of it as a strategic way forward as you solve some of your problems? And it's not for every organization to embrace this as like the main part of their funnel, and probably no organization should make this exclusively their funnel, right? But it can be a strategic part, and that's what we're going to jump into today. So
Absolutely.
let's get to that part. Let's talk about some of the problems. And John, as I mentioned, I'll have some hot tech vendor perspectives. That's my first. I'll take a smile from you on that one.
Yeah, yeah. I just like
Uh,
you said, you have hot tech perspectives, not
hot
you
tech.
personally,
I
but
did say
hot takes.
hot
Yes, I
tech
got it.
vendor, which maybe an HR tech next year. That's gonna be a category that we make. Hot tech
Yeah,
vendor.
that's true.
Um, but yeah, like look, there's a lot of things that are falling apart. This is one that I like to talk about the most. I know some people in my life that have probably for the first time in a decade started looking around for work.
Mm,
And I'd say about a third of them were even aware that they should be using AI as part of that process. But the younger generation has embraced this almost exclusively at this point because who wants to click in all these websites and apply? But AI applicants has really changed kind of the sources of recruiting,
hmm
but also how talent acquisition has to respond to it. I say all the time, like we are now or coming into a place with 10,000 applicants per job, and it's too much noise, right? It's causing a lot of issues there, and it's not going to get any better.
No,
It's just going to get worse.
no. And by the way, those of you who are with us, if you've got comments on any of these as we go through them, stories, examples, questions, please feel free to throw those in the chat.
Um, See, John, without you would be just be
Come
me.
on.
Just
Come
me
on.
talking.
You're focused. I want to keep you on track. You're good.
Spray and pray. And I actually look at this in a few different ways. One, like in our world, like emailing your employees about referrals, they don't care. They don't care about the 100 jobs you just opened up. They're doing their job. That email's gone out 50 times a year. They're not reading it anymore, right? But I think this also applies for just how we get jobs out there into the market, right? Um, like it feeds off of number one, how you promote your jobs and where you put them is just going to open up more and more noise, and it's kind of you need to push it out into more places to get more activity, but more activity creates more problems, right?
I totally agree. And I will say on top of that, and you and I, offline have talked about this in other contexts, we are still in a time of economic restraint. There are organizations trying to redo budgets. Certainly, they're walking into 2026 if they do a calendar year budget, and they're slashing. And
Yeah.
so when you look at what you're spending in, roles at LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever platform you might be using, that's cost cutting that they're going to look to slash because um, it's just an easy spot to do it. Listen, we're not hiring as much. We've just done a reduction in force, maybe like with what you just were sharing. We need to cut that budget of what we're spending, and so this post and pray or spray and pray it's not going to be the way we're going to be able to do it moving forward.
Yeah, this is uneducated, but I would imagine across the board, less money is being spent on talent acquisition coming into 26 than it was coming into 25.
I agree. I would agree with that. I have
Yeah.
no data, but I anecdotally I could believe that.
Yeah, I mean the jobs report alone in the
Yeah,
recent months. And
yeah,
it's not necessarily that these businesses fall apart. They're just like being cautious because they don't know.
that's right.
Um, Skills mismatch and pipeline gaps. This is not my expertise, but this comes up all the time. John, hot take on it?
Yeah, I mean the this is a twofold problem. One, we still have job descriptions that are wrong in organizations. They're most of the time they're wrong because they're old. And the work has evolved and changed on what's required in competencies. And here we're saying skills, but even in some of the knowledge and aptitude necessary, it hasn't been kept up to date. We have managers that are just busy. They're just doing the work. They're sort of managers and sort of operators still. And that's a problem. And then the other side of it, I'd say from a mismatch is we have hiring managers and recruiters, talent acquisition professionals, not communicating.
Hmm.
And so you've got problems in the pipeline because you have a recruiter thinking they know which candidates are best for this without really being on the same page with the hiring manager. Some of that's about time, and some of that is just about silos in some of these organizations.
Yeah, yeah, makes perfect sense. Um, Tech adoption struggles and fragmented tools reduce ROI. I'll take the lead on this if you don't mind, John.
Yes, please do.
Look, it's I've been in this space for about 8 years now, and the one thing that I thought was actually really interesting that I haven't experienced in other places in my career is that pendulum swing from
Mm,
this HR tech stack to that one. I'm switching from this ATS to this one, and with that, you've also seen swings into a lot of point solutions and then consolidating as much as we can, and even if it's regardless of what direction it's going for that company, because I think it's more company specific. The one thing that I hear time and time again from TA leaders is that they're at the mercy of their IT team. Not because they don't have their approval. They have their approval. It's we're implementing this. We have this on the calendar, and I can get you on the schedule in 14 months. Oh, well, by that time, like we're going to be
right.
in a different world, right?
So much is different, right?
Yeah,
So, absolutely.
yeah, cool. Candidate behavior and expectations are shifting rapidly.
It's interesting when we talk about so this I'm going to lean in part to what we would call enterprise level organizations, right? Those huge companies that do behavioral analytics as part of their assessment process for candidates. They are putting them through some level of testing, right? Some IO psych sort of backed product, which is terrific. The problem though is we've lost the rudder has been taken out of the water. It's still there, but we've pulled it out because we're trying to move too quickly. And I'm going to actually go all the way back to 2021 for this one. I don't think we've put it back in since then. We just adopted these things, put them into place, and I keep asking people, well, is what you've measured steering their work in a way that you anticipated it to steer?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. So if you don't know if the behaviors align to the expectations, what are we doing?
Yep. Well, in even large companies that they can be very reactionary to market conditions, and then when those things are in place, a couple years later, everybody kind of forgets why they did that and who
Yes,
implemented it, right?
yes,
It's
yes.
great from a renewal standpoint, but just kidding,
For
just
that
kidding.
company, yeah, right. The one company, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, cool. So, I like that one too. You like that one? Sorry, that's my first official laugh, I think.
Come on, that was a good one. How do you not like Taken? It's the same plot. I mean, three movies with the same exact plot, same exact character. I mean, come on.
You can't beat it. You can't beat it. So look, AI, I was talking to my buddy about AI development the other day. And he said, like somebody that uses these tools, if they don't think that this is like awesome or pure magic, then they're either a liar or scared, right? Like, and I think that applies, right? Like that applies for any career right now. AI is here. It does things. It doesn't do everything. But if we're not leveraging anything that can make us more efficient, especially for the stuff we don't want to do, then we're going to fall behind, right? The
Yeah.
ones that do it, now don't get me wrong, there's a wrong way to do it, but the ones that leverage what's in front of them are going to get more done. It's as simple as that, right? Um, Proactive talent pipelines and employer branding. I think having your funnel full is one thing, but having it full with the right candidates, with people that understand your brand, that's a whole other thing. And I don't know if you have any comments there, John, but
Well, I mean, when I think about proactive talent pipelines, I think that um, TA professionals, those that are really grounded, know they're wise enough to make sure that as they build these pipelines, there's no promise of anything necessarily working out for any of the candidates, right?
yeah,
So it's not wooing people into this by posting roles that you never intend to fill just so that you can build a pipeline for something down the future, that's really an employer brand problem. It's going to come back to bite you. So real talent acquisition professionals know and are able to articulate, right, communicate effectively with future candidates, not current candidates, future candidates, to say, I'd love to get a bit of information about you. I saw an old resume, want to kind of see if it's still, these things are still true, if you have anything else to add, because I want to make sure that I have you in our system, not for today. I don't have anything today, but for what might come down the road. I think you'd be surprised how many people are open to that kind of conversation to build this pipeline.
Oh, for sure. And like I think in tying it back to the referral side, the hire you want may is probably working somewhere else already, right? Like that's the
Yes.
person you want to hire. And
Yes.
when they find that next job and they're happy, but you can give them something a little bit more and attract them back, like that's the candidate you want. I mean, and that's true with referrals as well.
Yep. Yep.
Speed, clarity, and measurable candidate experience improvements. Um, it's funny. Everybody the talks about the candidate experience. I mean, this like constantly. One, I've never felt like I've a lot of people have ever perfected it, which is probably very difficult to do. But the trend this year is AI candidate screening, which is interesting.
So fascinating. Have you gone through one or two of them?
I haven't, but I'll tell you, look, I'm a tech nerd and it creeps
I
me
have.
out. It
It's
creeps me
amazing.
out.
It's amazing. I got interviewed by an AI bot on the phone,
Yeah,
and she was terrific.
yeah.
Really,
Nice.
genuinely
Ask some key
terrific.
questions. John, how are you?
Yeah.
But so and I'll tell you, like, where so to this point, will there be pushback on that from a candidate side though? But when it's an employer's market, it doesn't really matter, I guess, right?
That's right.
So,
Right.
so yeah, it's a good.
Pushback is relative if you need
Yeah.
the job, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about just turning the two of us into just like a recruiter bots that talk to people.
Nobody wants to hear my voice, so that's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
well, what people have failed to realize is that we are actually AI right now. This is
Yeah, okay.
we're out there doing hard work. We're not just talking on
My
LinkedIn
my
right now.
program needs some work. That's what I
Yeah,
would say to that.
yeah, yeah. I'm glitching out. Flexible work models, broader talent pools. That's I don't know if we're gonna get that. I mean, the problem, like, look, I think what I just said it when it is going hard back into an employer's market, right? When it's an
Yes.
employee's market, um, uh, you can shift to whatever you need to shift to get the talent, but it,
I still will say though, I do agree with you. I
yeah,
think knee jerk, you're absolutely right. I think the companies that might have a competitive edge and can weather the pendulum swing either way are ones that can be more um, versatile when it comes to broader talent pools that we have listed
yep,
here. Well, because we still aren't terrific at vetting skills from one kind of experience and environment and seeing how they can be applicable to our environment. We still haven't mastered that. It's why I still talk to, for instance, those that are service members that are struggling to find a position because companies struggle to see how what they've done in military service equates to some project management work or some
yep.
senior operations work that might be available. We've got to get better at broadening these talent pools and looking at things a bit more holistically.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, like a good employee is a good employee, right? But that's kind of hardest part to figure out.
It is.
Once you do figure it out, you figure out how to use them, right?
Yep.
I love that mug, by the way.
Thank you. A friend gave it to me.
Did you like my sneeze where I quickly hit the mute button? Um,
I was too busy looking at myself. I didn't notice at all.
yeah, perfect. Well, I think the wide audience on LinkedIn did. A true focus on ROI. I think this,
Yeah.
I mean, we live and breathe in this world on the errand side, but it is, I'll tell you, I don't want to put a specific number on it, but there's a pool of talent people or talent acquisition people that I do think look very strategically at all things they do in
Mm,
terms of a measurable result. And then I think there's a lot of people that just look at it as like this is just a thing we do. we're going to post jobs, we're going to have a referral process, but they're not thinking about what it actually does to the business. And that's just going to get squeezed more and more. Anything we need to do, anything we do needs to have an answer of like, why does this make us better? Why does it save us money? Whatever it may be, there's got to be a result that's measured. So that return, although it doesn't always have to be cash,
Yeah, right.
it does need to be measured, and I think that's something that we've been seeing that shift. Like even just enterprise buyers, they don't have the flexibility they used to have, so they have to have more data behind their decisions. Cool. We worked with Lighthouse earlier this year, Lighthouse Research and Advisory, and you can download this research paper that we worked on with them. There's some surprising trends that came out of this. We're going to talk about a
Mhm.
few of those today, but you can scan that QR code if it's big enough on your screen, or just go to erinapp.com/lighthouse and download this report. Um, and there's some cool things in there, and John and I are going to go through
Yeah.
them uh, first, but let's go through a few highlights in general, and some of these will be dug in a little bit deeper. Candidates are 7x more likely to trust a company that promotes referrals. I have no idea how they measured this, but must have just been asking, right?
I assume. Yeah.
And it's in the report, but I think that's interesting. Um, but I'll tell you one thing that we hammer on is um, if your culture is good, people tell other people to work there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that has a big part of what this is, in terms of if people are not saying you should come work here, then they're gonna have a bad taste in their mouth from day one. Like, who's that company? Why are they destroyed on Glassdoor? So having people that promote referrals often reflects the culture they have behind it. Faster, better hires. Referral hires cost 50% less on average and are 22% more likely to be measured for quality of hire. We look at this data all the time. It varies by industry. It varies by role for sure. It also varies pretty dramatically from, hourly employees into more specialized roles. So it is different for everybody, but almost always referrals are cheaper cost per hire. We know that to be true. Um, and we're going to talk about retention here, so I'm not going to spoil that one yet.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's cheaper. Who knew? Two out of three prefer non-cash rewards like gift cards and points. This is not an Aaron stat. Lighthouse Research went rogue on this one. Ben, we're watching you. That's a shocking stat, I think. I
Yeah.
like money. I like money.
I think I'm sure there are those that prefer one over the other, but to have two out of three, I mean that seems like a high number to me. I'm not doubting that they did the research. It just seems
Yeah.
high to me.
Yeah, for sure. And now we do see it. We partner closely with a gifting partner named Snappy. And people use that strategically to get people excited because it is something different. And like maybe you wouldn't buy yourself
Yeah.
those AirPods, but you got AirPods, like things like that. I'll tell you, like, the giveaways we do, Yeti coolers. Nobody's buying a Yeti cooler. Nobody has that kind of money, not in this economy. But if you get one, you take that Yeti cooler everywhere you go. So
Yes.
I can
Yes.
see it from that regard. So we'll see. I like it. We have a chart on this one, so let's not get too heavy on it. But
Yeah.
73% of boomers say they're very likely to apply when you're. Are we allowed to say boomers, or
It's okay.
is that okay?
We're not being negative. We're just categorizing.
Okay, so how we use it. All right.
Maybe we'll go with that.
Yeah. I didn't write the research, John. I'm just
That's right.
reporting
Me
on
neither.
it.
Me neither.
So let's get right into that one. And it's on here again. So I apologize if anybody's offended, they can write to our HR team.
That's right.
Um, so I want your hot take on this, John. I don't know why. I really like I live and breathe referrals. I really thought this would be flipped the other way around. Because like we focus so much on making it easy and delivering through technology and getting it on social media, and like younger workforces are looking for jobs, right? So I thought this would go like that, but that's not the case.
Well, I think a couple of things. One, all of these stats per generation are over 60%, which is a good number. Just period, right? That the likelihood is plus 60%. The part of it I wonder though, and this is anecdotal, is Gen Z, as an example, coming from that end, they're still trying to figure out their careers. They're still figuring out where they want to work. And so their time at an organization may only be a couple of years before they move on. And so they may not be so keen on referring everybody to come and work there with them if they know I'm just going to take what I can get from here from a learning standpoint and then go on to a step up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be why.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the one thing I thought a little bit about, I think it plays into that a little bit, which is on the boomer side. At this point, I saw it twice on the presentation. We're allowed to say it, but like they're in their careers, so kind of what you were saying,
Yes.
like they do what they do, and they know people in that space, and like they're not necessarily applying for jobs. Maybe like the younger generations, they get referred to jobs, and that's why they leave and move, right? So it makes sense, but that was a surprising one for me.
Yes.
Applicant pool
Mhm.
efficiency. So referrals are a critical option to narrow the applicant pool. So um, the referrals are in the middle here. We prioritize referrals first. So I'll tell you of it's actually a lower number than you think. I'd say maybe 20%, maybe a little
Mhm.
bit more, actually have a true SLA. 20% of our customers, sorry, have a true SLA around referrals, meaning they handle them completely different, but are held accountable to a time frame. So it doesn't mean that they're not everybody's going to prioritize them to some degree, but they're actually holding themselves accountable to an SLA. So I think that makes sense. But there's other interesting things here, non-referral related
Yeah.
that I think are interesting as well, and referrals fall smack dab in the middle on that.
Well, I think it's not an accident that both the prioritize referrals first and right above it, we use automated video or voice interviews. They're close because I think it speaks to the fact that we like connection, that there's something that helps us to feel like I'm either getting to know the person or I have a loose connection to that person, hence the referral.
Yeah.
That I have some sort of interaction with them that I could. So if it's an automated video, as the hiring manager, I can go back and watch that video. I have a sense a bit of that person. I'm not surprised that they're closely aligned in terms of number.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the going back to kind of how we started, the rise of AI applicants
Yeah.
is going to be something that we continue to struggle with. In a referral, it has a not only just like that human connection that you just mentioned, it helps you kind of like bypass some of these steps in certain cases, right? I mean, we've all done it. Somebody gives you a name and you're gonna go straight to phone interview. Like, hey, we'll give them a call, even if their resume is not a perfect fit, right?
Right.
But on top of that, the one thing that, and we're going to get into retention here soon, but the referral process provides some vetting that may not happen in a traditional interview process.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of like your dirty laundry shared on both sides, and you kind of know what you're getting into, and that's going to have some benefits actually. Cool. Yeah, so here, just some points pulled directly from the research. So I think this is the last slide on the research. Then we got a few other things for you. Use that QR code now. Your time is running out to scan that. I know it's been nice to have it for 3 slides, but it's not going to be there for. Um, the one that just jumps out to me on here is 22% of candidates want to refer others before their first day. And actually, I wasn't even thinking of it. We just released a new feature, and we don't make this stuff up because like we're not smart enough. Our customers tell us what they do. It's we were calling it pre-hire, but pre-start is actually what makes a lot more sense.
Hmm.
Where when they extend an offer, especially in like a college setting, there might be a few months before they start. They want them to be able to refer before they actually start at the organization.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And I'll tell you the one thing we see there's just no doubt about it. The ones that make referrals part of their onboarding process and leverage features that we offer just from the tech side to make it part of their onboarding process are night and day further ahead in terms of the results they get from participation and from hiring compared to ones that don't. So I think that's the one I feel the strongest about on here is so if anybody's listening, if that's one good easy if there's probably a few I see a few
I
names
would, I think.
they may not be listening, but they're there.
Yeah.
when you're listening to this post on the recorded version, if it's not part of your onboarding process or even your pre-onboarding process, that is the lowest hanging fruit for you. You don't need tech to do it. You just need to execute on it, right? Anything for you, gentlemen?
Agreed. And I would just add um, some level, the third point here, some level of incentivizing it needs to be part of this.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
just constantly saying, "Hey, Jimmy, hook me up with another, one of your buddies." Hey, Susan, you seem to have, great friends. Is there anybody else that we can? And it's just sort of leaning into the relational collateral. It's just not a good look, I don't think, for an organization. I don't care how small you are. There can be something that's incentivizing for that
Yep.
person too.
Yeah,
So,
and everybody's busy, right? You need to give them a reason to think about
yeah.
something that's not their job. Talent acquisition is not their job. Um, I stole this from somebody very recently. So if that person's watching, I did not put your name on this. We onboarded a customer and they shared this chart with me, and we talk about retention of referrals all the time. In most organizations, if they're not measuring it now, they have the data and they have the ability to look at it. So all this is if you have of anybody that you've hired with a source of referral, what's their average tenure or what's the turnover, however you want to measure it. And then on the other side, for everybody else, exclude that pool. How long do they stay there, right? And then compare them to each other. So the worst I've ever seen this from a customer is referrals stay 25% longer, meaning the worst. So I have some that are 50% longer, 60% longer. But you can measure this today. Most ATSs are going to give you the ability to pull this out pretty straightforward. What I love about this chart is over time, um, how they do actually kind of correlate, everybody starts sticking around because it's actually measuring turnover, not tenure. But striking, right? Like the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
people that have referred, their 12-month turnover was 30%. On the other side, it was anywhere from 60 to 70% if they didn't refer.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
it's telling.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And back in the day, we would never talk about retention. Nobody cared about retention. Now it's more of a hot topic, but it's interesting where you find what are indicators that somebody's going to stay versus somebody leaving, right? In referrals, obviously, that's where we focus, but there's other indicators out there, and it's sitting right in front of you somewhere in your system.
Listen, and I would say also another metric that's not here, but I notate in your ATS or whatever platform you might be using, um, a sign of health as well is former employees who are referring people to come to
Yeah,
work at that organization,
yeah, yeah,
right?
100%.
So that's another marker, but the idea of this meaning that you might be able to predict someone who is currently working there who is happy to refer someone else to work there. Um, their connection to the organization is much deeper than you might give it consideration.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should lean into that, right?
And
And really
and
work with that person.
to the point earlier, it's like one of the first indicators of culture.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
do people
For
like it
sure.
here?
Yes,
Because if they don't, they're not telling people to work there.
that's right. 100%.
Just a few stats here that we wanted to put in here. This is just one of our snapshot of one of our customer dashboards. I bring it in here to show you a little bit about what success can look like when you're embracing some of the strategies that we're going to leave you with here in a few minutes. But also to show you some of the things that you should be measuring, right? So one thing that often people have no grasp on is who's participating and how are they participating. So not what percent of hires come from referrals, what percent of your population's even submitting referrals or even looking at your job board, right? So measuring things like that, and then from there to some of the stats down below is like how do they participate when that happens, regardless whether you're using tech or not, or we still talk to people that have some paper, literally fill in the form, fax it into corporate, they take the referral form. I mean, it's wild. It's still happening. So measuring things like that. The referred candidate to hire ratio is a great indicator of efficiency. So when we're talking about being strategic, it's how many candidates do you have to talk to make a hire, right? It's that simple. We know for most organizations at job boards, it's what, 55 to 60,
Mm,
65 candidates per hire. In some industries, it's much, much higher. And with the points we've been talking about today, it's going to get more out of control. So having a tight candidate to hire ratio is important. We see across the board about 10 to 1. So we call that the ERIN rule of 10.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking earlier about the number of applicants to a job now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have a quick story you want to share.
Yeah, I mean, I apply to a job every so often. Yes, I do. And part of it is let me see what's out there. No. The other part of it is really just because I want to see process.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what companies are doing. And so I'll do it to a variety of different organizations. The role that I apply to, I'm qualified for. So it's not that I'm applying to, some again, project management tech role or something
Yeah.
that I'm not qualified for. It's HR related. I got notified today for a job that I'd applied to, and forgive me, it's either CHRO or VP of HR for a larger organization. And they thanked me for being a part of the process, and that they didn't select me, and that they had 5,000 candidate applications for this one role.
In a very qualified, specialized role, right? Like this is
Yeah,
not just something anybody can apply to. That's
right.
insane, right? Now
5,000. Yeah.
you'd have to imagine there's a ton of noise there that's not qualified.
Sure. I'm not. Yeah. Right.
But the scary thing is even though that's true, how many of them have had resumes polished by ChatGPT that made them look qualified enough, at least for the phone screen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
5,000 is crazy, and you're easily the most qualified HR person I
I
know in
mean,
the
I can't
world,
believe I
right?
didn't get the
So
job. I was really
yeah.
annoyed.
It's all right. Don't give up, John. Don't give up. That's three. I guess you had three last time. So, no, I think it's a great story. After the call, I want to know who that was. I want to know what company it was.
I'll tell you.
All right, this is you. 35 years into the game,
Woo!
right? Uh, well,
Before I put foundation on in the morning, there I am.
you're
Yes.
on the HR side, so it's not as intense on the recruiting side. We're going to go through just this list real quick, and then we leave you
Yep.
guys with some action items, and then we'll wrap it up. Skills mismatch, pipeline gaps. We talked about that in the beginning. Also, candidate expectations. So, just a reminder um, of like what's going wrong, where we need to improve. But there's a word here that we didn't use in the first slide: process maturity. I think that's a big part of it. The fact that you even got that email and that they exposed that information shows some maturity in
Yes.
the process.
Agreed.
So it's think about that. How can we make sure we're not making it a bad experience, but also creating more work, right? Technology investment outpacing ROI. 21, 22. If you were an HR tech company, you could sell anything, right? People were buying.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's and they I mean where you see the market, I mean obviously for a lot of reasons in terms of employment and whatnot, but you're seeing those 3-year deals pop for a lot of people. And did they get what they bought? I mean, that's the real question. Was it worth it? Uh and that's it's even ATSs, which is the backbone of your process. People switch. That happens. But that's where we're at. You had a huge rush for investment in technology, and now you're seeing that pull back to just tighter
Yeah.
less. It's the overhead. It's not necessarily the product. It's the overhead of supporting all these different things, right? It's the smaller tech stacks. Um, Doing more with less, focusing on quality and retention, not just applicants. So we talked about that. And I would encourage you, I mean, plenty of consultants out there, some cool tech products that can take data that you already have and then identify some trends, right?
It is that first phrase, which is the lean into our entire time together. Honestly, this doing more with less. Let me just say, there are so many organizations doing that right now. They are feeling it. They're cutting budgets. They're taking a look at what's happening at their top line revenue and having to adjust. They're trying to do more with less, and you're not alone. So just know that, first of all, and second of all, it also doesn't mean that it's a life sentence. You may need to approach it this way for the next couple of years, because it might be like this for the next year or two still.
That's really good advice. I mean, just in everything, right? Not just in recruiting, but things will change, they will get tight, and then you'll create opportunity
Yes.
to go out there and do it a little bit bigger. So I love that. Thank you for that. Shout out to our
Uh,
boy Tim. Uh,
yeah, loved him. That's not for him. This is I can't time to hire. We have to that can't be our primary metric. It can't be, because there are things that are out of your control. We have hiring managers, we have companies that are slow to hire because of some of this budgetary consideration. To have that come back and affect the way in which we look at a recruiter's stats, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the candidate, right?
Correct.
It's
Correct. And
I
some
think
roles are tough to find.
yeah.
Some will take time, for
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
100%. 100%. Cool. So we got seven-ish things here we'll go through quickly and we'll wrap it
Awesome.
up. Any questions? I know there's multiple feeds, but if we see
Yeah,
any.
I'm going to take a peek. I'm going to take a
Um,
peek.
so I'll be quick about this, but you guys will share the presentation afterwards. Treat referrals as a pipeline, not a one-off event. Like meaning, like it should be measurable. You should know, like what percent of your hires do you expect or do you want to come from referrals? And when you start treating it as a goal, you're gonna figure out ways to invest into it to get more out of it, which will come further down the list. However, full disclaimer. Referrals aren't your whole pipeline. If I have run into some companies that are at that 50% mark, which is extremely rare.
Yes.
Where most companies strive to get to, it's about 30%. Most companies are at about 10%. So just some stats for you, but it's important to keep your talent pool diverse in lots of ways, just in your tactics, how you go out there, and also, if you're all in on one way or another, you're at risk, right? So,
Yes. Yes.
line referral strategy to hard to fill and high impact rules. This is something we have recently been getting really into with our customers. Um, Not all rules are equal. Not all incentives should be equal, and your promotion and your force to fill certain roles and your strategy behind that should be different for the harder to fill ones, right? So, like specifically, if you're trying to hire a like very specialized doctor, who do you think knows very specialized
Mm-hmm.
doctors? It's very
Mm-hmm.
specialized doctors, right? So it may not be like as impactful on, an operations role. We see this in nursing all the time. We see it in doctors, veterinary clinics. Hard to fill roles do really well, especially in community-based careers. You know how I say this all the time. You know how somebody's a nurse because in the first 5 minutes of meeting them, they tell you about where they went to nurse school, their worst nurse story, their longest shift that they've ever done. Like it's like it is part of their identity, and they gravitate towards other nurses, and they work these long hours, so they form really meaningful bonds. That is a community, right? So certain industries are going to be more successful, others
Mm-hmm.
maybe not as much, but harder to fill roles with communities behind them. Slam dunk. So focus your efforts there. Use out data to optimize who, where, when referrals come from. I am shocked. I'd say 50% of the prospects we talk to cannot tell us that easily the percent of hires they have from referrals, which is crazy, right? Like just like we just thought it's number one. Make it part of your pipeline, measure it, make it better. They just can't answer it, and they have to get IT involved, they got to pull
Yes, I
data
was just going to
together.
say that. Yep. It's not accessible data. And to be honest, the amount of money that organizations pay for their existing tech stack, you would think that it's ready to go, but part of it is input related.
Yep.
Not all those companies are using it the way that
Yep.
they should be in order to have that data at the fingertips. But I agree with you. It should be at the ready. You should know.
If you can measure it, you can make it better, right?
Yes.
That's all.
Yes. Well,
Uh,
you could at least know what it is. You can't, sometimes some companies struggle to make things better, but the premise is true.
yeah, I'm glad we're premise aligned. Uh, that's four. That's four. The activate the right employees with AI. Look, the best example here, and it's in there, is like emailing 5,000 employees to tell them about the 300 jobs you just opened up. Does nothing. One, it's too many jobs. They don't care. And you sent that email the week before, so they still don't care. Uh,
Correct.
one thing we've been working very closely with our customers on is how can we leverage AI to say the right things to the right people that are going to then respond to it, right? So we've brought a lot of focus to this, and we've seen great success with it in terms of activating people that otherwise wouldn't have been activated by traditional means. So when we talk about this is earlier in the presentation, Like use AI to replace the tasks that are either not working as well or just annoying to do. Your life will be better for it. Integrate referrals into performance, culture, and recognition. Um, I mean we've talked about this all throughout the presentation,
It's
but
behavior. It's
yeah,
behavior. Yes,
yeah. And it's got to be culture not just as a reflection of is it cool to work here or not, but culture is a reflective of like do we want to bring in other good people, right? Like making the organization as great as it can, and when you get people bought into that, it can be pretty powerful stuff.
absolutely.
That's one of those ROIs. It's harder to measure, but everybody knows there. They know it's there, right? Shorten and humanize the feedback loop. As I mentioned, most organizations that even deploy ERIN do not have actual. They may have processes that are different. Most of them do, but they don't have actual SLAs that they hold themselves to in terms of how long. If I get a referral, how long do I have to respond to them to make sure that they have a different experience and a better experience than a general candidate. So,
Yeah.
and it's easy to do. You can implement that. Your ATS has a source field, and you can create a report, and your recruiters can look at the report. Integrate referrals deeply into the HR tech stack. We're big on automation,
Yes.
but and even if you're going to do it in a more basic way, like what I mean by that is do not allow the I told you an actual customer coming on board right now. They fill out a form, they scan
Yeah.
it, they send it to headquarters. You don't need to buy a product like ERIN to fix that problem. You just need to like get into like 2005 at least, right? Set up a Google form and have it send an email to a box that gets stored somewhere, right?
Yes.
Anything you can do to streamline that process. But if you can, but the biggest thing is get the data into the place where you need data, which is often the ATS, right? In source tracking is critical, right? So we need that. Cool. I know we're at time, John. So
Yes.
if there's any questions, we can get through them, but we can also bounce through it. I want to make sure people know where to find us as well.
Yes. Please connect with us on LinkedIn as well. Please connect with Aaron and Humareso there as well. Please feel free to follow. We push out quite a bit of information and content for you all.
Yeah. So you want to leave any words of wisdom with our
Well, I mean, and I will say, just from a commentary standpoint, thanks to everybody that for being here, and thanks for some of the comments that have been posted. I don't see any questions, but comment wise, and I appreciate the backing. Right, you're agreeing with some of the perspectives we've shared here, and I would say that as we think about doing more with less and considering creativity when it comes to recruitment, whether that be because of budgetary considerations or really effectiveness. Maybe you're just not getting the level of candidates you need for the work that has to be done. Exploring all options is a must.
yeah.
Is a must. It's not really it can't be viewed as a luxury. You have access to it today. And so all of us really need to lean into that and take a chance, experiment with some of this, start to redefine what, in this instance, let's say a referral program could look like.
Yep, love it. I'll end with going back to the somber notes we started with. Look, don't let the fact that 170,000 jobs were eliminated in the last 3 days bring you down. I think what it should really push us to do is like how as people in talent acquisition, and I'm not claiming to be one of them, but I work very closely and have some great friends in there. Use that as an opportunity to say, how are we going to be ahead of changes that happen? And provide the most value to the organization that we can provide in downtimes or uptimes. Large organizations are always hiring. It doesn't matter if there's a hiring freeze, if there's layoffs, they're always hiring. And
Yep.
any opportunity to show value in strategic thought it's going to be good for you personally. It's going to be good for the organization. It's going to be good for the people you work with, right? So I think hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully there's some good takeaways here. As John mentioned, find us on LinkedIn, shoot us emails, start a petition to have us do another webinar. Whatever you
Please.
guys need to do, whatever you need to do.
Nah, this was fun, Mike. Thank you for taking the time to do this together. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Listen, if I play my cards right, I might this I look at this as an interview to be the third host on But First Coffee. But we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. I'm not sure, but we'll see.
But
Thanks, everybody.
thank you, everybody. Take care.